Ba-dum-bum, bum, ba-dum-bum. I'm bringing you in with some Deep House 24. Raise your arms. Let's go. How the devil are you? How have you been? Listen to this. This is Deep. We are listening. Today's podcast is going to be brought to you with some Deep House 24 playing in the background. No idea. Just fancy chucking something on the background. How? Well, I set up because you know the score, as they say. Get set up. How have you been? How the devil are you? What you been up to? Hopefully positive. That's what we're after. Positive. Hopefully it's been positive. Oh my days. I'm going to start with the last time I spoke to you, which was a couple of weeks ago. I do get that. Manius influenza, it's not a fucking joke. And I know, even now I'm winging this fucking podcast because at one ear I still can't hear. So I said to you, I was like, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, be fine, set myself up, get going, normal, business as usual. No, that didn't happen. I kind of ground through. And then basically I was feeling a bit rough for like the first week after the poddy. So that was like 2 weeks ago. And that first week was a bit brutal. And then I got to the tail end of the week and I was like, fucking hell, I don't like this. I've not been ill for a while. I get the day here, day there, but I don't tend to get like full blown ill. I haven't been like full blown ill where you hear people going like, fuck, I'm hanging out my ass. I've got weeks of no energy. And I'm like, fuck are you talking about, mate? Man up, And I'm just, and I do. I when it comes to illness, it's like, fuck off. It's a cold, mate. Shake it off. Pull yourself together, for fuck's sake. Show a little bit of fucking testosterone. That's what I normally say. I don't say that about mental health. I absolutely do not say that about mental health. That's why I'm here talking to you. I'm clearly an advocate for somebody who's, let's take serious mental health seriously. But when it comes to a common cold, fucking I've got two scores. Two ways of dealing with it. Normally, it's like I go all out and I just sweat the fucker out. So I'll have a blistering hot bath, which I can't do now. And I don't like baths. Never really fucking have liked baths, to be fair. But when I do feel ill, I dive in. I'm like fucking as blistering hot as I can get it. Fucking sweat it out. Or the other option is I'll like literally don fucking, t-shirts, joggers, an over jacket, a hat and gloves. And then I go for a long walk and I just sweat the fucker out. I just go, no. I'm the fucking guy here. I'm fucking controlling this body. If there's one thing I can control in this world, it's my body. So I sweat it out. I fucking force that bastard out. I do it internally. I beast myself to force it out. And it's almost like into submission. I kind of go, fuck you, cold. Get into submission. And normally, 9 times out of 10, that does work. I tell you now, I've even instilled that in my daughters. I've said to them, if you're ever fucking feeling cold, don't sit there and wallow in self-pity. To be fair, there's only one of my daughters that's taken that up out of the 3. It's my middle one, which is pretty much exactly like me. It's like a fucking mini female version of me. So I apologise, world, right now. But yeah, she's the only one that's adopted it. But she actually shouts at the other girls like, "Fuck are you doing? That's fucking told you. Padre has told you how to do this shit. You sweat it out or you have a hot fucking bath. There's 2 solutions to this. Stop wallowing in self-pity." And so I've always lived by that ethos. However, I did that this time. I fucking did. I said I worked the weekend. So over the weekend when I was feeling a bit rough, my dad come over and I was hell bent on fucking getting this, ripping the bath out completely. I've got a vision for how I wanted my bathroom. I've looked at visions of, I've mapped it in my brain over the years of how exactly I want every single fucking room. And it's to the point now where I'm saving up and I'm putting my all into making those things come to fruition because that's what makes me happy. So I'm like, I want the room to look like this. This is how I envision it. There's always an element of colour. There's always an element of character. And I just try to I modernise it a little bit, but also I don't mind touching on the old style of design where we bring in a little bit of I do this thing with the wood where I not my penis either. Calm the fuck down, all right? This is not the podcast for that, all right? Calm it. That's OnlyFans just raised. James Littlejohn, search it, look for toes. But yeah, so I do this thing where I burn wood and I bring the grain out, and I think it looks real old school. Always reminds me of I don't know, like a smoker's room, with cigars and whiskey, and it just, when you walk in, it feels like a deep oak, like men around a table. I don't know why. That's how I envision it. It just makes it feel like really manly. Like bringing the grain out, and again, understand this is me talking about men. Okay, so don't get offended by that. I have to caveat that with, why don't you envision it as you're saying that it should be pink and fluffy? No, not at all. That's how I envision it. So that's what I've been doing. So I envisioned this bathroom, ripped it out, felt like shit. Dad come over, even to the point where my old dear come over, actually, my mum, and she came over and she sat with me, and she was like, I was ripping this fucking bath out on the Friday. I was hanging out my ass. I was like putting up tiles. I'd never done tiling before. My missus come in. She was like, "Is that your first time tiling?" I was like, yeah. She goes, "Oh, why didn't you tile before? You're really good at it." I was like, "Because I didn't fucking want to, and I'm not a tiler. Okay, I didn't want to do this." So I did a good job, obviously, because I thought to myself, I'm seeing longevity now. I'm like, right, I'm in my 40s. I don't want to spend every fucking waking year refurbishing rooms. I just want it to look nice, get the longevity out of it. So the only thing I really have to do is paint, or whatever. But let's do it properly, line everything. So I did all that, hanging out my ass, taking cocodamol, wasn't I? So I was taking codeine and ibuprofen, which is an arch enemy of mine anyway, because there was an addiction to that for 3 years, taking, as you know, 8 to 12 a fucking day to get through for 3 years. So I've got a little bit of a, because I know what it does to me. When I take that drug, it just, all the pain disappears and I can just function. So it's like, and then people say, well, why don't you deal with the pain? Well, the fucking pain is my body's broken, mate, because of car crashes, and there's not much I can do. My brain's broken, for fuck's sake. I'm trying to repair that. So it's kind of like, so it was just one of those things. I got addicted to it. I'm not going to, but if you know anything about ADHD, or you're learning about ADHD, that is one of the side effects. It is, you're very, very drawn to substance abuse because, again, we don't get that dopamine. So what we do is we look for dopamine. So the dopamine high is, I feel ultimately relaxed when I'm on codeine. So it's kind of like, I just feel like I don't fucking care. Whereas when I'm fully functioning and my brain's firing on all fucking cylinders, I'm just off on a tangent. So it's managing that. I feel even like the air of excitement about doing this podcast. I can already tell that I'm elevated my heart rate and I'm elevated in my speech. I'm not as controlled as I normally would because I'm trying to get loads of information out because I'm conscious I've not spoke to you. So, and that's it. That's unfortunately that's how I think. That's why I'm fucking running before I can walk. It's really hard to control. Anyway, before I digress. So yeah, I was hanging out my ass, fucking doing this. Dad come over, smashed it. Mum was like, "Oh, you're a bit grumpy today." I was like, "Oh, it's probably because I'm fucking ill, mate." You know what I mean? I was like, "Mum, calm the fuck down. What do you think this is? I'm putting on a brave face for you here. For fuck's sake, I'm putting on a fucking smile." All right, be lucky. Be thankful that I'm even engaging with you because I just want to get this done and go to fucking bed. That's how bad I was. And then it transpired, I carried on soldiering on, went into work Monday, fucking hanging out my ass. And I genuinely was hanging out my ass. I'm not even making this up. I'm going to caveat why I know that happened, okay? Because, I think it's important for me to understand what happened, but important for you to understand as well that there is other parameters of why we get this ill. So look out for the signs, symptoms and stuff like that. So dived in. Tuesday felt fucking awful. Went to bed on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. No, was it? Yeah, Tuesday, 6 o'clock. Went to bed. 6 o'clock. I was fucked. I was like, can't do this. Went into work on Wednesday and I was like, this is fucking brutal, mate. I've had enough. And anyway, and I've been like this all weekend, and I've been going to bed. In fact, I was going to bed at like 8 o'clock at the weekend. I literally finished the fucking paint and went to bed. I was fucked. Which is really unlike me because I'm a late person. I like staying up to the early hours and just get a few hours sleep and then fucking crack on. So I was led there. I was fucking hanging out my ass, and I was like, and my missus was ill at the same time as well. So she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the fucking doctors," and she got antibiotics, and she had pretty much, not playing it down, but a lesser version of what I felt. Anyway, I mean, maybe inside she was fucking just putting on a brave face. It probably is because women have a higher pain threshold than men. I'm pretty sure they fucking do. So anyway, digress. Felt better, and then. I think it was Wednesday night, and I went to bed early, and my missus come up, and she said to me, James, I need you to go to the doctors. And I was like, fucking, what do you mean? And I was like, lighting was down. I was in bed. I was fucking hanging. I just thought, no. And I said, no, I'd be all right. I'm just going to fucking keep fighting it. She was like, it's been 8 days, mate. It was 8. No, it was 9 days on that point. 9 days you've been feeling ill and you've not stopped and you've been to work every fucking day and all weekend you've been doing DIY, ripping out baths, putting in fucking stone plinth fucking showers and screens and painting and everything. And she says, you haven't given yourself time to rest. She's like, you need to go to the doctors because this isn't getting better. And it had gone into a viral infection, a nasal infection. So I'd had an infection in my nose, an infection in my ear, and an infection in my throat. So it hit ENT, ear, nose, and throat. It hit the whole fucking trifecta. Trisector. That's the one. Trifecta? I might even want trisector. I don't know. But it hit all fucking free. I was like, shit, And I was proper hanging. I just wanted to go to sleep. And I was in the mindset, I'm just going to go to bed. I mean, who doesn't like going to fucking bed? It's a win-win for me. So Wednesday night, I went to bed at about 6 o'clock. Came up about 8 and was like, I need you to go to the fucking doctors. I was like, yeah, all right, fuck's sake, I'll go to the doctors. And making it seem like it's a fucking chore. This is men, okay? I'm going to caveat that this is fucking men in general. And like literally to the point where people work colleagues were saying you need to go to the fucking doctors. Friends and my mate Kieran, fucking hell, he was bollocking me in the phone. He's like, dude, you tell me to go to the doctors and don't like on day 2 and like here you are 9 days in doing blah 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 blah. I've seen you do blah 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 and you ain't fucking going to the doctors. And I'm like, nah, mate, I'm fucking all right. To the point where I was at one point when I was walking, I was out of breath. And I genuinely mean I couldn't catch my breath. It was like COVID the first time round. But I was like, nah, it's not fucking COVID. Because fucking that's done and dusted, mate. We ain't talking about that anymore. But I had shortness of breath. I couldn't catch my breath. And my ear blocked up completely. And then I was like, fucking hell, it's hit the trifecta here. Trisector. Fucker, stop saying it, James. And you don't know. Trying to make out your fucking intelligence. Shut up. And then so I fucking chilled out, went to bed, and then woke up the next morning. And my missus, she'd had antibiotics for a couple of days, so she started feeling better. And she was like, promise to go to the doctors. Anyway, so I went to the fucking doctors Thursday. And the doctor said, how long you had this, mate? And my doctor is amazing, by the way. I will caveat, I am very lucky to have a fucking brilliant doctor. I've been to him with no end of fucking issues, and he's just looked at me and gone, what's new, buddy? Anyway, so he said, how long you had this? And I was like, mate, fucking 9 days. Well, this is day 10. And I was like, it's getting worse. He went, mate, you're hanging out your ass. I had like moldy shit in my ear where the bacteria was fucking spreading. It was a perfect hot environment. Because I'm on these antidepressants as well, my heart rate's elevated, so I'm hot anyway. And the guy was like, mate, you're just a fucking bacteria factory right now. And I'm to the point where I was cold to touch, but soaking wet, sweaty, hot all the time. Fucked. And so all these are probably alarm bells. You're going, mate, I'd have gone to the doctor's ages ago. So they gave me antibiotics and some steroid stuff for my throat and my ear. They were like, we'll give you oral antibiotics. I'll give you fucking oral. See, I went straight there. I just literally couldn't get past that without saying it. So I give you oral antibiotics. I was like, got any suppositories? He said, don't need them. I was like, all right, just checking. And so fucking moved on from that. And he was like, just see how you get on. I said, but I don't think it's going to clear my ear. I said, I've had ear infections for years and they never ever work with oral antibiotics. I have to take the stuff in my ears. And he was like, we'll just see how it goes. I can't dose you up too much because you've already got stuff for your throat and your fucking nose and, all this jazz. And you've got 2 lots of antibiotics you've got to take. He was like, take 2 of these now, fucking get something to eat. So I did. And then Friday morning I woke up and I had the mother of all migraines. And that was the day after I'd taken antibiotics. So it obviously, that my body's like fucking obviously fighting for whatever. And this virus was fighting. And I was like, I remember saying to my missus, and it's going to sound melodramatic, so it was really dramatic, but at the time that's how I felt. She came in, she was like, you're going to work today? I was like, if this is for my 40s and this is how I feel, just overweight, slovenly, no fucking ambition, no fucking this, no that, no drive, and this fucking ill, I said I don't want it. I said I've had a pretty good time, okay, I can accept the life I've had so far, thanks very much. That's pretty much what I said. I was like, because I can't fucking do this. Because this, and I had a mother of migraines. I had these white dots all across my eyes, and it was like painful to see. And I was like, I can't fucking cope. My nasal, my ear infection, my throat, I was fucking hanging out my ass. Anyway, took the antibiotics. Saturday came along, felt a little bit better, managed to get out of bed and just kind of go, I'm going to have a relaxing day. I forced myself to relax. And then Sunday came along. And before I fucking know it, and this is the power of an antibiotic, but I'm conscious that the reason why we don't take it too much, we don't want to build up immunity. But fucking Sunday, mate, although I'm a bit nasally and I still can't hear out my right ear, which I think's a win, really, in a house full of women, that I can't hear out of one ear, to the point where I just lie on my left side. I can't hear a fucking thing. Yes, I need to look into, because am I going to be permanently deaf? Have I done some damage to my eardrum? There is more questions to ask myself and my doctor. So potentially this waiting could have probably fucked my ear for life. Okay, but hey, you know, I stuck it out. I was fighting the fucking fight. All right, I'm going to keep fighting the fight, showing the testosterone. Okay, who's the fucking man? Not me. I was not the fucking man at the time. I was nearly crying on fucking Friday. I was like, I can't fucking do this. And then got to Sunday, and I put this music on, and all of a sudden, I was in the living room, just fucking dancing. And I mean, when I say dancing, I mean, I'm almost 43, you know, dad bod territory, beard, you know, fucking Razzie Nesbitt style fucking vest on, mate, and my pants. All right, so I wasn't fucking anything special. But I felt it was almost like I'd regenerated. And that might sound fucking extreme, okay? And it might sound extreme to some people, but when you're ill, and I'm not talking like, you know, I know there's more people that are there. I know there's a lot more people that are a lot worse off than I get that. However, I'm talking at my fucking level here, okay? So just bear with me. So, but when you get to that point, I was like, on the Sunday, I was like, I'm having a beer. It was almost like I was like, I'm going to have a beer, I'm going to fucking sit outside, I'm going to enjoy the sun. I was just hell-bent on enjoying life. And that was from a small fucking cold. I was like, I can't do this. Even to the point where my mate, I was like, I realised when I started messaging my mate and I FaceTimed him on the Sunday, I was like, mate, I haven't seen you for like fucking 4 weeks. I was like, haven't really spoke much for the last couple of weeks. Ago. No, it's been quite quiet without you, mate. He said, I'll be honest with you, it's been really quiet. And I was like, oh, I apologise. He's like, no, mate, we've held the fort, but fucking hell, glad to have you back, mate. Because I was just existing. That's what it felt like. And that sounds dramatic, I know. And then caveat that with the reason why I think this happened. And the thing is, I've worked from home for 2 years. And then I've been going into the office, but I've only been going into the office for the last 6 to 7 weeks. So I haven't built up an immunity. I'm on a floor plate with 100 people. And I'm around bugs that I'm not fighting. All these people know each other. They've all worked along each other. I've come into this new environment. They're all new people to me, and I'm starting to hold meetings with them and starting to interact more with them. And I think I just obviously my immune system wasn't used to fighting it, because my immune system for 2 years has been sat at home with my family. That's it. No one else. This is one of those things that we need to be cautious of. When you start going back into work, I know at the moment they're trying to force you back into work, and I know some people might say, fucking hell, I haven't stopped working. Yeah, I was part of that. I worked all the way through fucking COVID. You know, I was classed as a priority work, or whatever they fucking classed it as. I can't fucking remember, it was that long ago. But a key worker, that's the one. I was classed as a key worker. I had a letter. I could drive everywhere with this letter that come from the fucking head of defence. So, you know, it was, I know what it was like to fucking work. All right, I wasn't on the front line. I get that with the nurses and all that fucking good stuff, but I was still working for it. I didn't sit at home, didn't take any royalties that we're now paying for. Okay, just drop that in there. Well, we got a social media fucking platform. But anyway, digress. But yes, I understand. So, but what it's done is it's just I feel a bit more alive. I really do, and it's like weird, but it was that just a couple of weeks of just not being able to function. And I know there's people that go out there with, and the reason I'm talking about this in such detail is because it fits in succinctly. Is that word succinctly? It sinks. I'm making all sorts of... I'm pulling words out my fucking ass. I am the thesaurus today. But it sinks in nicely with mental health and how I because I'm managing my mental health in a lot more, in a better way. Okay, I really am, and I am actively trying to do that. I'm actively trying to get more for 24. I understand, and there's so much more to talk about today with regards to my therapy, and talking to my therapist thinks I'm batshit crazy, and it's quite an impressive thing to hear from from my therapist. I've been telling them about stuff and more about my legacy stuff, which is they're helping me work out why I did these things, you know, knowing. And anyway, I'm not going to digress into that just yet, but that's for the later in the show. But yeah, it's kind of I don't know. It's just kind of makes you sort of really appreciate things when you're feeling shit. And mental health is one of those things. When you're not managing your mental health and you're not planning for the future, and or you know, when you're not doing the things, you know, going fitness, eating healthy, drinking water, mindfulness, spending time with loved ones, friends, making memories, when you're not doing all these little conduits, these little tiny pieces, you know, that is the cloud that's over your head. And when you start feeling those things and you start working on your mental health and you start managing it effectively, those things become enjoyable. And it's the same, easiest way to show it is I was ill for I was ill for like a couple of weeks, and just in that short space of a couple of weeks literally managed to feel absolutely crap. And then all of a sudden it was like lifted. And it's the same, it's a very similar feeling to what I feel when I manage my mental health. When I manage my mental health, I kind of get to the point where I feel good. I feel invigorated. I feel positive. The endorphins start creeping out. I can feel them being processed in my brain when I feel good. And that's the impressive thing. And that's the beauty of it, is when you manage those things. And it's probably an easily relatable thing to talk about then is when you feel ill, and that feeling you get when you feel better. It's like when you have a snotty nose and you're like, you can imagine you go to bed and you're bunged up. This is what I was feeling, bunged up. I was like, fuck, I remember that day when I used to be able to breathe, you know, and you waking up with a dry throat because you've been breathing through your throat for the night, and you've been snoring like a fucking warthog, so the family's kicking off. That's what happened with me. So all these things, but then when you I can breathe, you know, and it feels wonderful, doesn't it? And that was a short space of time you lost the ability because of the inflammation in your nose has stopped airways from getting the smoothness of the air that we need, the induction kit of our body. And it hasn't happened. So it's kind of like, but then when it does, you're like, fuck, I feel like a new man. This is a new nose. No, it's still the same flat nose I've got, but guess what? I can fucking breathe out of it. But that's the same with mental health. With mental health, it's exactly the same. When you start feeling invigorated and you start looking after your, you eating healthy, you're drinking plenty of water, so you're not feeling bloated. Lay off the bread. You don't feel bloated, do you? You know, same as when you drink plenty of water and your piss is running clear and it's not like fucking congealed yellow liquid, like a fucking, like a jelly. You think, oh shit, I need a little bit of water in my body. But when you start doing that routinely, it becomes business as usual. How do you feel? You feel great. And then when you start looking after your mental health, and I've had some really serious conversations with people, even to the point I've got a friend of mine, and I know he needs help. And he is kind of working on himself, but it's really difficult because I want to help this friend of mine. I want to do it, but I can't because the person is not on the same track as me, and is not willing to accept the changes that he needs to do for me to see that he will be successful, because everything's being managed through for me being managed, which I have no, and I will caveat this, I have no, this isn't about the drug side of things, but manages it through drugs. That's how he manages and shuts down his life. And I go, and then whenever I've suggested something and gone, maybe this, maybe that, or what do you want out of life? Oh, I'm not unhappy with life. Well, So what are you unhappy about then? If you're not unhappy with life, what are you unhappy about? And then you kind of get into things, and then I think one of the conversation pieces between us was, what are you unhappy about? And he was like, I don't like life. What is it about? And I go, yeah, but there's nothing you can fucking do about that, mate. You've literally gone like, everything around me is shit. And I go, okay, well, where do we start then with that? I can't help you because I need to know a starting point of what we can work on. And that's the bit where I've got to try and break down that barrier. But then when you break down the barrier, it becomes a one-way And this is the difficulty with, and I suppose I'm giving you a little bit of an impression of what it's like to try and support someone and the challenges. And this is the challenge that I'm facing. I want to help this person, but the person, when I talk to them, don't listen. They just kind of go, no, that's not the problem, or no, I don't want to do that, or it's not about fucking money, and it's not about that. And I go, okay, well, I don't know. I'm just trying to chuck suggestions out there, mate, to help you. You're not giving me anything forward, and I can't help you until you want to be helped. You know, but what I can be is I can be here. I can listen, and I did. We had a conversation, and we spoke for a good 45 minutes, and it was a good conversation. I actually think when I reflect quite quickly there, it's not really about life is shit. I think it's about, and I'm just spitballing this is craziness with my brain and when it fires on different cylinders. I think it's probably more by the sound of things, and I'm thinking of a way in here. It's more about feeling part of something. And I suppose that's where friendship comes into play. Maybe I think that is what he's wanting, rather than changing the world around him. And this is because I'm diving in. I'm doing a little bit of synopsis here. I'm like thinking in your brain, this guy's fucking nuts. Okay, I'm going to move on from that because that has given me my opener. But that is thinking outside the box. And that's the beauty of thinking outside the box. I'm like, maybe it's not what he's not interested in life. Life fucks him off, but he just wants a small group of people to talk to, confide in, and have fun with. Because that's ultimately what we want. But to get into that barrier with me is quite difficult because I do have a very, very select friendship group, and I have layers of my friendship group. And I know that's probably like, how do you say that? And why do you say that? I have layers of protection in me, and there's certain people that will get into a barrier. And if I'm going to be brutally honest, I don't think anybody, and I genuinely mean that, has ever reached the full inner circle. And that's because that's a real fucking sacred place for me. I know there's obviously a couple of friends I know there's people that are very close. I know obviously I've got my mate of 30 odd years. Christ, I'm very, very fortunate to have somebody for that long. But even then there's still I don't know, there's still a slight barrier, and I don't know, you know, that's because of me. That's not him, that's not the person, it's not the situation. All of my friends would listen to me. All of my friends would actively be there for me. I have layers of protection, but to even get into the outer layer and let you be part of my life, I find that really hard to let people in. And probably because of the drive of being hurt, maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's some trauma back there from friendships. Probably not. I think it's just down to, as I'm understanding, and we're breaking in nicely actually into the therapy side of things and the importance of helping yourself. And this is where what my journey now, I'm on this really unique journey for me. And being diagnosed with ADHD and autism, it doesn't hold me back in any way, shape or form. It makes me really excited about the future. And that's not because I've got a label on it, because I don't give a fuck about the label. I really don't, actually. But what it does do, that label for me, and I've said this in many podcasts, that label for me helps me understand how I deal with scenarios. It's like, for instance, I'm going to give you a really fucking probably out of this world scenario, and I've told one person this, and that's Kieran, and I told him this the other day, and I've only not told one person just because this is the type of intrusive thoughts that you can get. So I was I was having this conversation with this person, and I knew this person was lying to me, and because I had the evidence and everything to back myself up, because I'd done the investigation piece in the background. But I knew this person was lying to me, and my intrusive thought at the time, and this is why I talk to my therapist, because it's these types of thoughts, and I'm going to give you probably another couple of scenarios of my past and things that and how difficult it is when you're not diagnosed to get support or even just understand yourself. I think that, for me, the first winner chicken dinner was when I decided on that December that I didn't want to do this anymore. I said, I can't put my body and mind through this anymore of me wanting to kill myself. I cannot fucking do this. I said, because when I don't do it, the toll is huge on myself, mentally and physically. And that I overeat, I fucking undereat, I'm a roller coaster. There's all sorts of stuff. And there's so much that you don't know, and so much that I have never told anyone about myself, even to the feel where I feel quite vulnerable with my therapist. Even my therapist has looked at me on the last session and went, "Fucking hell, mate." He said to me, I shouldn't swear, but he said, "Wow, are you going through? And I'm giving him scenarios and stuff. Anyway, so and I gave him this scenario, and I told Kieran, because Kieran was like, I was like, mate, this is the type of intrusive thoughts I get. But this person was lying to me, and I can't fucking stand liars. Ironic, because I can lie in my own time, but I can't stand people that lie to me blatantly and make my job really, really fucking hard because they're going to continue to lie. Now, unfortunately, we have this thing called social, society, and our social aspect and our social moral understanding of life and how we should be treated. We should treat other people with care and compassion and all that sort of stuff. So I do that, by the way. I do that. But for me, to sit there and watch somebody make my life hard, knowing I now have to go through other channels, and I sat there, my intrusive thought was, this person, I can see their face. They were quite calm. They almost had that smirk on their face as if to say, well, there's nothing you can do about this. And my intrusive thought was, if I punch this person clean in the fucking nose right now, just fucking whap in the fucking snoot, the shock on that person's face is going to be immense. And that's going to entertain me for 20 seconds before it either turns into a full-fledged fight or I'm fucking escorted away from the scenario and arrested. Okay, but that is where I was like, you're lying to me and I'm going to put some shock on your face. Fucking whapow. And that's the type of intrusive thoughts. You're like, fuck. And you can't let those intrusive thoughts, happen. But and the reason I talk about intrusive thoughts is because that's a bit of a topic that I've had with my therapist. And my therapist has kind of gone like, I sort of say things and I go, okay, well, what would you do in this scenario? And you go, okay, done that. And it's like, for instance, and it happened such a long time ago. But I was actually, and I can say this, I'm not actually ashamed to say it because I now understand why, or a potential why it happened. And basically, there was a scenario that happened years and years and years ago, and I was in the RAF at the time, actually, obviously, because that's going to be one of the big pertinent points here. And I'm not proud of this, but at the same time, it just goes to show the level. And I was quite well respected, obviously. I'd worked hard for where I got, and I was in the RAF. And anyway, I went to the shop one night, and basically there was a group of kids. They were gobbing off. And I'd had a couple of drinks because it was a Saturday. And I had a few friends around. We were having a bit of a buy. We went back to the shop before it closed to grab a couple of beers. And basically this fucking kid who was happened to be the son of an old boss of mine knew who I was and started gobbing off and basically started fucking shouting at me. So I walked over like you do. And, I was young, dumb and full of cum, as they say. I walked over, and then literally this, and I admitted what I did, and I was punished severely for what happened. And anyway, this guy, but this is the intrusive thought in me, and this is where I don't slow down. And this is why I'm like a light switch. I'm on and off, which is why I have to manage that ADHD. And this guy was basically shouting obscenities at me, all this stuff. So I walked over and I was like, "What the fuck? What are you on about?" And he was on a ledge of a fence, like a wall line in the basketball court area. And he swung a kick at my face, and he went, "Yeah, fuck off!" And they all started laughing. So I grabbed his foot and pulled him down, and basically, my mate said, "No, let's fucking go." He was the sensible one. I wasn't the fucking sensible one. And he went, "Yeah, fucking run home." I didn't even blink an eyelid. I literally swung round and open hand slapped this fucking guy. And it was described, and it did go to court. So this is why I can talk about it, because I was punished for it, and I hold my hands up to it. And it was described in court that he lifted off like a cartoon. Like the guy was off the floor about 2 feet off the fucking floor and about fucking 2 feet back. It literally, and it, this is the funny bit. And this is the mindset that I get into. And he was on the floor and he was out cold. And I said, "You just got knocked the fuck out." Which is from Bad Boys. "You Popeye chicken eating motherfucker." And then literally I got up and I walked home. And obviously I was arrested a couple of weeks later. And I did. I went to court. And unfortunately, and I've always declared all this because at the end of the day, but went to court and had a proper magistrates and everything. I was the first person in the RAF to be put on a tag. and £1,000 fine I got for slapping somebody. So I was punished severely. They made an example of me. I had a 3-month curfew. Now, I actually got taken off of guard duty and everything because I couldn't do guard duty, because I had to be, my curfew was 7 in the morning till 7 at night. So I couldn't I couldn't even do my duties, and I had to, it was fucking nuts. So but everybody knew that it was like, this isn't unintentional, but that's just my thought process. And now I was telling my doctor about this. I was telling my psychiatrist about this, and he was like, that's because you felt like you want the autism in me doesn't want to or wants to sort of not. It doesn't want to accept negativity. It doesn't want to accept, people being rude and all that sort of stuff. And the ADHD side of me, which is why it's a fucking clash, is the one that goes, let's fucking go. So I've got like a couple of fucking devils on my shoulder. One that's going, that's not fucking right, buddy. And one that's going, let's fucking go. Let's go and teach this guy a lesson. And that's the batshit crazy. So I'm learning. Excuse me, sorry, I've been talking too much there. Try to calm myself down now. Get myself down to a little bit of a nice tone. I'll tell you what it is, that fucking house in the background. That drum and bass smashing me off, getting me fucking rocked off. So I'm learning all sorts about stuff. And there's so many different fucking stories I can tell you that people have gone, oh, just kicked something on the floor. There's so many different stories that I've said to people. And it's piecing those things together. And that's where a lot of what I'm trying to understand now about myself, because I do get overwhelmed. I've noticed now that if I go into like the floor plate area and stuff like that, how much headphones does help. And that's because of the overwhelming bit. And I remember actually for years and years in Serco, when I used to work for Serco years ago, Serco Defence, and I was on the helicopters there, I used to have to go into places, like I used to go into downstairs and into the shower room just to get some like quiet, dark space, because it was overwhelming, and I never really put two and two together. I just thought it was like, I've got a headache, but no, I haven't. I've got a headache because I've been on the fucking go, firing on all cylinders. Like, for instance, my mate who's worked with me, he'll tell you, there'd be times where I come in, I'd be like fucking, music fucking blaring, having a great time. The next morning I'd be in going like, all lights off, quiet the fuck down, leave me alone. I've had enough. And I didn't really sink all of my emotions into how I'm learning about myself. And this is the importance of understanding. Not about, like I said, it's not about putting a label on shit, but it's about learning about yourself. Because when you learn about yourself, you actually help yourself. You actually do it naturally. It's like, for me, I go, okay then, so if I'm going to go into the floor plate now and I'm going to go into work and it's going to be overwhelming, I'll take headphones with me. I've even got work to get me for my DSE assessment, noise cancelling headphones. So when I'm having meetings, I can just put my headphones on and I don't hear anything else, because the normal ones I was hearing, I'm attuned to everything. So I'll listen to conversations and I don't concentrate on that one piece. I've noticed a world of difference when you start catering for neurodivergent in the workplace. It makes life so much fucking easier. It really does. And I can't emphasize on how different your life can be when you actually start learning about yourself. And that's not about, this is about me right now. Okay, I'm talking about that. But I'm talking about in general. When you learn about yourself and stop blaming other people. It's like, for instance, if you want to, we've all got our personalities. Maybe there's a reason why people don't invite you into circles. Maybe that's because of the person you are. Maybe you're defensive. But you've got to, whatever it may be, I'm talking about, again, I'm pinpointing this other person. But what I'm trying to say is you've got to try and make yourself as happy. Don't rely on other people to make you happy. Make yourself happy. And what you know makes you happy, go and do it. Do you know what I mean? Within reason, obviously, don't, if it makes you happy to masturbate, don't go fucking whacking that off everywhere. You'll be in trouble in no time. But hey, do it in the privacy of your own home all day long. Not all day long, need a job. But when you can, fit it in. Whatever makes you happy. In fact, I was talking, it's just weird. This is a weird transition. But I was talking to my colleague today. And we were talking about spending money. And we were saying about the kids, how they're like frivolous. They can be a bit frivolous. They've got money in the bank, they need to burn it. And I'm not trying to instill this into my daughters at the moment, like to stop, like reset, squirrel some money away that you don't see anywhere. Get it out of the way. Don't see that money. Even if you know it's there, you've got to come and say, I need this. And if it's not an emergency and you're just like, I want a takeaway, I'll never stop them having the money, but I will question and go, do you need that £25 on that takeaway? Or could you put that £25 right now towards a holiday or a memory or an event or something? You know, that's the questioning I give them. And I don't give them that to hold their money, because at the end of the day, I would never do that. It's their money. And even if they turned around to me and said, no, I want it now, I'd go, yeah, cool, no worries. There you go, bosh. It wouldn't stop me, but I want that food for thought. I want to give them the food for thought. And that's often what we do. We drop these little nuggets in with our friends, don't we? And that's what I'm kind of doing through podcasts. I do it through podcasts, actually. I think all my friends probably pick up on it, but I do. I drop little nuggets for them. And I go, here's a little nugget. Pick it up, boy. Fucking feed on it. Let's have it. Whatever it may be. But we need to do that in life. And I do that with my children. That's how I raise them. I'm like, I'm not going to dictate your path. You fucking do whatever you want to do. You know, stay within the boundaries of law, because otherwise, if you don't, it becomes very hard. And they're all fully aware of my past. It's not we're not talking. You know, I'm not a fucking train robber or anything like that. But you know, for me, who's just, I am a happy-go-lucky type of person, bit bolshy, bit different. But at the same time, you know, I've made mistakes, massive mistakes through life, but I'm still learning, and I'm also learning about trying to understand myself as being neurodivergent at 39 when I was, or 40 odd when I was fully diagnosed. That doesn't happen overnight. You know, we're talking about children that are neurodivergent and getting it picked up at school now. We didn't have that. I've gone through all my schooling, right through college. I've gone through an RAF career. I've got through another career, and I'm in my third career. And you know, I'm still learning about myself. It's you know, nothing's set in stone in life. There's no rule book on how you to do things and how things affect you. And, you know, you've got to learn and understand. And if something affects you, if you're triggered by something, avoid the trigger. Don't try and find the trigger. And this is why we get these things. I'm going to go off a little tangent here, but this is why we get these people called Karens. They know they are triggered by things. And we call them Karens, okay? You should all be fully au fait with that now, but we call them Karens. And why? Because they're triggered. And they're Muppets, because they're triggered by something and they go looking for it. And they go, I'm going to get triggered because I want to get angry. And now the fact of the matter is, they're not Karens. They're just emotionally unstable, or they've got nothing going on in their life better to do than have a go at people. And probably they've got some sort of trauma. Maybe they were treated like utter shit as children by their parents. And that's the bigger picture of mental health. And that's the bit we don't talk about. That guy over there can be a complete and utter fucking arsehole. And you go, he's an arsehole. And there's scenarios I've even learnt recently. I thought a guy that I spoke about in my other podcasts and how I perceive things actually transpires, no, that's how he deals with life. Now, I could have perceived him as being an arsehole. In actual fact, he's got fucking lots going on in his own personal life. So you have to respect that. But I didn't know about that at the time. So I made a judgment, a wrong judgment, but it was rectified. And then you find there's bits going on. Now, it doesn't justify. The problem is these experiences, and this is where mental health's the bigger picture. We need to look holistically at this, you know, step back. Because you look at that guy or that person, Karen over there, and you go, Karen, you're a fucking arsehole. You're just being an absolute fucking bellend. We've all sat there watching the TikToks or the fucking Facebook reels or the Insta reels, whatever reel you're watching right now. And we've gone, oh my God, look at the state of her. If that was me, I'd fucking proper punch her in the face. You know, we've all seen it. But there may be something there's maybe something underlying with that. That doesn't justify the reaction or the attitude of the person. That's the problem with humanity, is you go, and I'm the type of person that will go, okay, I accept that whatever you're saying may be wrong. Your attitude makes me want to punch you in the nose because you're coming at me like a fucking wild boar, okay? Calm the fuck down. Because then what I do is I go, I'm going to be a bigger wild boar and I'm going to fucking teach you a lesson. And that's when I go, so I try hard as fuck to not gravitate to that fucking position. But it's really hard. And now it doesn't justify you. Nothing justifies. And this is where I would then say, you need to fucking work on yourself, Karen, because there's something underlying. Because no human being should be this much of a fucking asshole. All right? We're all struggling through life. What is life in general? You could ask yourself that question every single day. What is life? Nobody fucking knows what life is. I sit there going, you know, what is my purpose? What am I doing? It's like I'm going into work and I'm just going looking around and we're all just like little lemons. You're like, fucking, what are you doing? I'm looking for a certificate. Okay, yes. If I get the certificate, everybody's safe. Yay. That's literally me. That's what I'm doing. And they're like, oh, okay. And I'm going to report that it's safe. That's life. Now, yeah, that's a very, very pertinent role in life to keep people safe and make sure we're doing. So there is a big picture behind that. But we are just little lemmings. So if you go through life being a complete and utter arsehole, fuck me, mate. You're making everyone's life hard, especially yourself. You're going to give yourself fucking cancer, mate, for the stress you're causing yourself. Fucking can't. Don't give me fucking stress now. I'm fucking talking about the stress that you're going to get. Doesn't justify that, does it? But maybe there's a reason. And that's where I say, and this is where the awareness piece comes in, that's where I say you need to inwardly look. And I've said that all along. I didn't sit there on December when I made that decision to try and end my life. I didn't make that decision, you know, willy-nilly. It was there fucking in the background. It was there churning away. I didn't inwardly look at myself. I just went, this is an easy option. This is the option I want. You know, I can't be fucking arseless. I didn't try to challenge myself. I didn't try to inwardly look. I didn't really, like, even upon reflection now in life, and I go, well, what was making you angry, James? Well, fucking loads of things were making me angry. What was it? Your job? Okay, well, I can replace that. My relationship? Okay, well, I can change that. You know, or my friendship group? It's okay, I can change that. You know, all of these things. My weight? Okay, I can change that. Do you know what I mean? Everything can be changed to suit you. Sometimes you have to work a little harder to get it. Yeah, granted. But you can change these things. Change is not impossible. Yes? The word impossible says, I'm possible. Audrey Hepburn. I would have fucking tag her in that one because I love that little saying. But it is. Impossible actually spells I'm possible. Obviously put the apostrophe in and the space. So it's interesting how and that's all about perception of life and how we look at life. And that's the thing. It's inwardly looking, reflecting on yourself. Maybe I am a fucking arsehole. Do you know what? If there's people going home and you're sat there in your chair and you're going like, I've got no one around me. Maybe if you inwardly looked, is there something you can do? Are you actually actively getting out there to find people to be friends with? Are you looking into a hobby that will bring you into like-minded people? You know, if you're into running, go to a running club, go to park run, do a park run. You'll find like-minded people. I know a friend who quite literally was in a relationship. They had a rocky road relationship. They weren't fucking working. They went away on holiday to try and rekindle it and everything else. Came back again. Still didn't rekindle it. They'd been together for a long time and they just basically grown apart. But they were like, they had children and they felt that it was, okay, I've got to do this. But the bloke actively went, no, I'm going to go and do something different. And they were chalk and cheese. He was very active. She wasn't active at all. And he went out and did park run and then all of a sudden found a very like-minded person doing similar things, similar outlooks, went and said to his partner, we're going to have to end this because I'm not going to go into, and he did do it the right way. I will say he did split the relationship up and, you know, that's why I think they're amicable now in the sense that, you know, they accept each other as a family and in that sort of sense, and he's doing his own thing. But he was with like-minded people, and we often do that. Are you sat there just procrastinating on yourself, sat there going, fucking everyone hates me, I've got no friends, I'm going to sit here and drink and do drugs into a stupor and fucking just blame life until either I'm not here any longer or, well, that's it. It's going to be the end bit, isn't it? It's either going to be premature or you're going to sit there lonely until it is eventually your time. Maybe you need to maybe you're not getting out your fucking chair. Maybe you're not. Even if you're meeting people online because that's the way that the fucking world is now, you can still go out and make friends through online. You're still like-minded, still talking, and you can still, I proved it. I've met friends. I've got a fucking friend I still talk to now who, granted, you know, not as much, but he's still there and he's still in the fucking background and still say hello when I need to. And we still every 6 to 8 months we'll just message each other, or he'll put a post on some social media site and I'll just rip the fucking shit out of him. And he'll just be like, fucking, he'll message me back laughing his ass off because he's like, you don't change. And I'm like, nah, mate, don't. But and that's the interaction. But at the same time, we were that close in friendships over online gaming. I was number 3 in the world with fucking on the helicopter, and we used to fucking do scrims and all sorts of geeky shit, I get it. But we used to do scrims and stuff, and it was, you know, he was my pilot, if you like, and I was the gunner. That's how geeky that. I was literally, as I was saying, I was like, you fucking full on geek, mate. but we still talk. And we were like, mate, we're going to go out on the piss. We went out on the fucking piss. I drove up to his. We went out on the fucking piss, had a good time, and then we became friends. So anything's possible. The word itself says I'm possible. So it's kind of like, it's up to you to look inwardly. It's up to you to change something. It's up to you to engage. Everything is up to you. If you're going to sit there and fucking wait for things to come to you, you are going to be a lonely old man. Because it ain't going to happen. And men are we all know that the only 3 things that are loved unconditionally on this fucking earth is women, children, and dogs. And I don't care what anyone fucking says. It genuinely is. Even cats aren't loved as much through laws and everything else as dogs. They're the 3 things we love unconditionally. If you're a proper human being. Men are not in that list, and I don't give a fuck what anybody says, and you can fucking scream at the mic all you want. Men are not loved unconditionally. Men are loved on what we can provide, and that is what it is. That's why we soldier on, because we need to provide. That's why we ignore our signs and symptoms. We need to provide. We need to show we're the fucking man. We need to show we can provide. We need to show we can bring the money in. We need to show that we can protect. We need to show that we can do DIY, repair the car. We need to show all this all the time. We have to constantly prove ourselves. That's why our life is fucking hard. My dad, I got a message from my mum and dad. They'd been away for the weekend, and I'm going to mention this because I think it's really important. Men never get told they look good. Never. And it's rare as rock and all shit that I'm told I look good. We never get that in reinforcement ever. My dad was at a wedding at the weekend, and he was in a grey fucking suit. And bearing in mind, my old man's coming up 70 this year. And I looked at his fucking photo of him with his sister, and I went, "You look fucking amazing." I literally in the message with my mum and dad, because I know, and this is no disrespect to my mum, but I know my mum wouldn't have said that. Because it's, you know, we pay the compliment to women. But I was like, mate, you need to wear that grey suit. You look fucking awesome. You look dapper as fucking hell, mate. You look really good. And I told him, he's like, thanks, son. Because we don't fucking hear that. When men make an effort, we just, you know, all we get is, oh, God, you look at him with his beer belly. Wee. You know what I mean? You don't get that. You wouldn't walk up to that fucking woman, oh, look at that fucking gut on you, mate. Would you? You wouldn't do it, because you don't want to hurt her feelings. Well, we're men. We still have fucking feelings. We still have, you know, how many fucking times do we have to sit there and say, we all think we're the same. We do anything different. Tits and a dick. You know what I mean? A vagina. You know? And that's been proven wrong as well. Digress. But you know what I mean? No, banter, sorry. It shouldn't go down that route. Not really political correct. But we don't get told these things. So even when we make the effort, we don't get told. There's a photo that I saw of myself, and when I did a half marathon, set myself a goal, did a half marathon from nothing to half marathon in 3 months. Which was a fucking commendable feat. Now, I remember all the way through, not once did I ever get told I was losing weight and I looked good. And I guarantee that, and I'm not just saying it, I never got told by anybody I was looking good. I looked at a photo of myself next to my fucking dad, and I had a photo done, I had a moustache. And I was like, who the fuck is that? My dad was like, it's you dickhead. I was like, I know it's me, but who? I look like I've eaten that guy. But you never hear it. So where do we get the positive reinforcement about life? We don't get it. We need to give it to ourselves. And this is the thing, even to the point where I'm talking to my psychiatrist, and even he said, fuck, you know, and I'm talking to him and he thinks I'm batshit crazy. I'm not fucking crazy. I'm telling you as it is, you know, but I've not done anything fucking silly. I can say what's going on in the mind, but as long as it's staying in the mind, it's all good. And we're all I think we're all a little bit like that. We're all a bit caged up, aren't we? You know, I feel like a caged animal. Fucking let me free. Anyway, and I suppose it's kind of, and it feeds into actually, and I'm behind the curve here, but I want to talk about this in a little bit of context anyway. So, and this is the title of the podcast. What's your legacy? Now, and the reason I brought that is because it feeds nicely into the mental health, feels nicely into just talking about my dad in his 70s. Now, most men, and I spoke this, I've done a podcast on this before where I said about men need purpose. We need purpose. We need to feel like we're needed, because we don't get told we're needed. You know, it's just taken for granted that we're needed. But we don't hear that. So we just assume, and we get to a certain point in life. And I was chatting to my dad, and I've chatted to another guy, actually, a really good friend of mine, who's close to retirement. And I sort of said, what's your, and it aligns with what I've spoke to my dad about. My dad's never really been heart to heart with me, but this guy was, which was nice. Just opened up and fucking basically let rip and told me what he thought. And I sort of said, what's your biggest regrets? And we sort of had this conversation. He went, well, I just don't feel like I'm needed anymore. I said, and we were talking about this, we're talking about the aging workforce and how my generation now, the 40-year-olds, are now coming into the space where people should be retiring, the 60-year-olds, 65-year-olds. We're sort of looking at them to retire, and they're retiring, but they're not ready to retire because medicine has brought them on, and we're prolonging life even more. Like I said, I look at my dad at 70 and I think, you fucking look great. Probably internally he's fucked, because I know his knees, he's got gout, he's fucking falling to bits internally, but outside I think, fucking hell, you don't look 70, mate. And that's modern medicine, that's moisturizers and, just for men, whatever it can be, but we make ourselves feel better, look better. We look after our skin. We are a lot more hydrated because water's more accessible than it's ever been before, but some of us don't listen. But we've got ailments and vitamins and everything, all this stuff. Healthy food is in abundance. We can get avocados coming out of our fucking ears, all this stuff that was probably, we're talking early times when the life expectancy was a kind of little bit lower. I wonder what that was then. We kind of get to the point where we're like, it was because we didn't have all of these vitamins and everything else that we're taking to keep ourselves healthy, youthful. It's a new thing, isn't it? We want to prolong our life, but they're not ready to retire. They don't want to give up, which makes it harder for us, because we're like, you need to fucking give up, mate, because the chain of life says, I need your seat because your seat's good money. You've had the good muns, mate. You need to fuck off, take your retirement and let me in. But they don't. They sit there in these senior positions going, I'm going to take a bit more money and I don't feel ready to give up. And I go, look, mate, it's going to be two ways, mate. You either give up naturally or you give up unnaturally and I potentially get arrested. Your choice. But it is. But they don't. They want to keep going. And the reason being is because life is so accessible through social media. It's like, and I said, what do you, he said, well, I don't know what I'm leaving behind. What's my legacy? I said to him, is that what you want? And he's like, yeah, what am I leaving as a legacy? And I'm like, well, you're not a fucking king, so, you're not a president, prime minister, fucking anything of, a lord, whatever. You've got nothing that you're going to put on a wall anywhere, so it depends on what you want. What do you want out of life? What legacy do you want to leave? Do you want to leave a global legacy? That's going to be difficult to do. Do you want to leave a national fucking legacy? Well, it's still going to be achievable, but a bit late in the fucking game to start that. Or what do you want to do? You want to leave a work legacy? Do you want to leave something to change in work? You changed a policy. I don't know. Maybe that's the legacy you want to do. I don't know. Maybe you revolutionized the way we deal with waste. I don't fucking know. Is that what you want to do? Or do you want to leave a legacy with your family and friends? Something that is relatable and really achievable, but is massively, massively, massively overlooked. Is friends and family. We all look for that social media fucking, like, I need people to like it. I need people to look at me. Hey, I need to leave a legacy. I'm doing this. Those people out there, that's all fucking fake. We're going through a situation now with the internet where bots are liking bots. So we've got AI, and this will blow your fucking mind. Blew my fucking mind. But it just goes to show how fake the internet is now, but it can't be used as a reliable source of information for me. For information, it can be. I'll retract that. It can't be used as a reliable source of gaining social media following. It's harder than ever. Why? AI and bots are creating posts that are liked by bots. So accounts that are created with a profile picture, so it's all fake. And it's a continuous loop now. So an AI will create something that's not even human related, Or if it is, it's human taken, but it's manipulated so fucking far gone. And then the only people that are liking it are the bots. And you see these, I've seen some posts where I look at that and go, that's got 1.7k likes. I mean, what the fuck? And you look at it and it's just the worst video or image you've ever seen. You think, within reason, we're not going down the dark side. But you sit there and go, that cannot get that many likes. And that's the situation we're in. We're constantly changing it and we're constantly looking for that validation on life and social media. Well, no, don't need to do that. I think that social media for us has given us an unrealistic expectation of life. I think that's what it does. People don't realise that there's such a small percentage of people that get famous. There's such a small percentage of people that make lots of money. And to make lots of money, you've got to drive, you've got to pump money into it. You pick these people on TikTok and you go, big person for us at the moment is Mashtag Brady. Fucking hilarious. But to get where he was, he had to pump thousands into promotions and likes and adverts to get likes. And yes, it can come off. But you can also, I know people that have spent the same amount of money and got nowhere because you don't get the uptake. The thing with Mashtag Brady in this type of incident is he's traveling the world and saying it as it is. So a lot of men, I know that because there's me and a couple of others in our group that look at it and go, we wish we had that. We want that. We want to be able to travel the fucking world and do whatever the fuck we want and eat, drink, be merry and don't give a shit. And that's probably a little bit of nostalgia in there. But it's interesting how there's people out there that spend thousands and don't get that. And there's actually more of those that do that than there is anywhere else. It's your 5 minutes of fame, but it can cost you thousands to get 5 minutes of fame. And in that 5 minutes of fame, you could either make enough money to get your money back, or you could make a lot of money. So it's gambling, really. But why gamble like that? Why gamble on something that you can't predict? Where if you invest in yourself and gamble on yourself, I guarantee 99.9% recurring, if you do the right things and gamble on yourself and bet on yourself, give yourself the education, give yourself the drive, give yourself the goals, you will succeed. You've got to compartmentalize that win, that goal. You've got to go for it. Yeah, don't rely on other people to give you that validation, because that validation's fake from certain people. I used to do it. I don't post anything now for the like factor. I like it for either the comment factor, because I think that person's genuine. A like to me is irrelevant in any case, in any social media. A like to me is fucking irrelevant. It's a comment, or I don't know, that's probably about the only thing. But mainly what I do is I upload to old school Facebook, and I upload to old school Facebook because it creates memories. So I had a memory today of my dog 10 years ago, and it just excited me. It was my boy at 2 years old, and I was like, I forgot about that photo, and that's what I use it for. Or a memory will come up that I played golf a year ago, and I'll go, fuck, why have I not played golf now? And it's those type of memories. And whenever I go out now, I take a photo and I upload it. I don't leave it on my phone and forget about it. I upload it so it becomes a marked memory. So I've started to instill that and actually use that as a social media platform, rather than going, here's a photo of me, everybody needs to like it and make me feel. I don't need that anymore, because I'm beyond gone from there. I just think I want to create memories around the people that I love and with the people I love, because at the end of the day, and not to sound morbid, but the only thing that I'm guaranteed in life at the end is that they can't take my mind off me. It may go through disease, it may do, there's nothing I can do about that. But however, right up until that point when it's gone, the memories are mine. Everything else is just materialistic. Everything else is just false. It's on the internet. You will be overtaken on the internet by somebody else next. You will become an archive in the Google Drive. That's what you'll become. So there's no different. So what we can do is spend our life chasing that archive, and like I said to my dad the other day, time's precious. You make the memories with the ones that you love, and the legacy. And this is the bit that I'm going to give you here, the kicker, just before we close down here, is the memory, or the legacy you leave is in the memory of your next generation. That's your legacy. Why does your legacy have to be a statue, a statement, a photo, or a fucking, or a post, or an event? Doesn't have to be any of those. I mean, it can be a photo, obviously, but the memory or the legacy you leave is with making your next generation happy because they spent time with you. And so many fucking people forget about that. It frustrates me. So many of us don't live in the moment. We fucking live in the past. I would say most people that I speak to, whenever it comes to talking about mental health, it's because they're in the past. They're stuck in the trauma or the experience of the past, and they're not willing to press play to deal with it and move on and understand it and put it to bed and go, okay, I've dealt with it. I've spoke to somebody. I've opened up. I've let go. They've given me some feedback. I feel like that's done. And sometimes that's all it takes. Yes, there is traumas out there that we can't get past, okay? But we certainly can have a support network to help us get past those traumas. But that is the thing we don't do. And then when we dive into this legacy bit, which is actually I think it's ingrained in us as men. And I go back to the start of the podcast where I go, it's ingrained in men to not go to the fucking hospital, not go to the doctors. We don't like doing it. Why? Because they'll probably tell us bad news. They'll probably go there. I mean, I've got aches and pains in my wrists and my elbows, not from masturbation. Okay. This is from weightlifting. My penis. Sorry, I fucking get it all the time. I was apologising before it even came out. That's what I always say. Sorry, put it away, James. Anyway, yeah. So, but the legacy can be such a basic thing. It's just, I think social media, and we see all this shit on the fucking news. What's happening in America? This, and we go, fucking hell. I want to leave I want to leave a legacy over there. You're not going to do that, mate. You're just an average Joe. You know, I'm just an average Joe. That's all we are, average Joes. You know, so we've got to make the legacy. The legacy is making your next generation happy, spending time with them. You know, it's almost like I said to my parents, I was like, you know, you're in a comfortable financial position. You're in a comfortable position with life. You don't need to work. So why don't you make fucking our lives a little bit easier and harder, less hard by helping us or spending time with us, or organise a fucking barbecue so we can come over and we can fucking spend time with you and have a great fucking all-you-can-eat fucking buffet around your house. I say that because my fucking family do a diamond barbecue. I'm going to be having some good barbies this year. So, legacy. All of that. Look at it. I'm excited today. You can tell I'm excited. You can tell I'm not hanging out my ass. But if you'd spoke to me last week, I'll tell you something. You'd have been like, who's this fucking guy? I've no idea who he was. No idea. But we got through this. Anyway. Legacy, legacy, legacy. It doesn't have to be something fucking big. It can be just, your legacy can be your group, your friendship group. You know, it's almost like when you get, I'm at this stage where I actually sat down the other day and I go, do you know what I can't wait for? So I'm trying to invigorate this thing where every year we get together, and I'm using my birthday as a thing because it's very easy. It's a date that's locked in. I'm trying to make it a routine thing. It's going to grow as everybody around me becomes a little bit more financially stable because the kids have fucked off and we've got a bit more money. But there's my little select friendship group, and what I'm trying to do is slowly introduce everybody so we all understand our personalities. Do we clash? If we do, that person can't go, you know, or whatever, or I need to try and unpick why there's a problem and make that a bit better. So all of these things, you know, are what I'm trying to instill, and I'm thinking that going forward, I'm trying to make it so that one day when I'm in my like 70s and we're still doing this annual thing with my select group of people, and I'm sat there reminiscing about all of the times, like this year we went paddleboarding. I mean, remember when fucking went paddleboarding and you jumped off your paddleboard and fucking, you know, karate kicked fucking Dave in the face. You took his nose off. Hilarious. Nearly drowned. You know? Do you remember when you pulled down his pants and showed his little penis? These are the memories I want to take with me. And I've got loads of memories. I remember years and years and years of fucking go where we put our mate Jutty into a fucking trolley and we were fucking like throwing him down practically throwing him down the fucking road, the main street in Salisbury, just like fuck off when we were kids. And in memory, when I was younger, I've run around every roundabout, bar one. There's one I didn't do out of the 7 I think there is in Salisbury. I've run around every one, bar one. So not every one. I don't know how to say that. Nearly all of them. 6 naked. Fuck, I've walked back from town to my mate's house, nothing on. That's a memory. Now I can take that with me. I can take that fucker with me and I can sit there and go, yes, do you remember when you did this? There's so many stories I can tell you. I'll give you, you know what I mean? And I still shock my friends, actually. There was years and years and years ago. Should I tell this story? Nah, I'm not going to tell you this story. I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger. It involves a marigold. Some of you will fucking know. It involves a marigold and a cowboy hat. That's for next time, you fucking sexy hookers. Anyway, I'm going off now because I've got to chill out, maxing, relaxing on calling on shooting some meatballs outside of the school. Thanks for listening to me. Absolutely appreciate your time. Let's just spread that positivity. Look out, but inwardly look. Come on, I want everybody to start this journey with me, please. I want us to all inwardly look. Stop being assholes, you know, or inwardly look to help you move forward positively. Fuck it, it's not, you know, we need to do this together. Let's go. We can do this. Thanks very much for listening to me. Take care, everyone. Have an amazing week. Love you. Speak to you soon.